Hey there, welcome. Today I wanted to talk about transactional relationships and kind of the intentions and intensity of spiritual or bhakti yoga principles. So it's often kind of touted that a non-transactional relationship, having no ulterior motive, having no selfishness, having no desire or want for an outcome, is the pure way. It is the way of the bhakti yogi, the karma yogi. It is the noble path. It is the divine path. And I think that if you can do that, this is true. This is beautiful. If you can manage that, it does mean that you've probably achieved a sense of surrender to the infinite, or a connection to the infinite, where you have complete faith, complete trust. You don't require anything from anybody. Things will happen as they must. But unfortunately, if we look at the world, we look at ourselves, we're honest, are we going to be able to do that anytime soon? I don't think so. I know I won't be able to. In some ways that might be me making a limit upon myself, but it's more just trying to prioritize the spiritual principles at hand. So there are many spiritual principles. There's many different paths, many different ideologies. And it's often touted in non-duality and Advaita Vedanta that you don't need any. That you're already here, you're already there. It's already Param Brahman. In Dzogchen, it's already the great perfection. There's no samsara, there's no nirvana. And you're already that perfection. Your mind is, your body is. There's no concept that is true. It's really just the boundless, the infinite. And if we can live like that every moment, we have nothing to worry about. There is no technically desire. There is no transaction. It is just oneness happening. But we're not there. We know we're not there. I'm not there. Everyone I've met that's ever meditated isn't there. God is here. God is them. God is them in their confusion. God is me in my confusion. It's just the reality that it is. But there's almost like a determined amount of time that we're going to be in the dark. That's why a lot of bhakti yogis also say it's God's grace. It's not up to us when we become enlightened or when we realize the grace. It's just the grace of the one will. Beyond arguments of like determinism or free will or whatever, I think there's some sense to this, because we can intellectually and even practically understand enlightenment, non-duality, infinity, have moments of awakening, have moments of insight, but then still fall prey to our tendencies, to our negative thinking, our reactive emotions, bodily trauma, bodily addictions. So I want to just gauge, how we approach these spiritual principles, because which one are we supposed to follow? Which one's the right one? Which one makes the most sense in the moment? Are they all equal? Do we have to do all of them all at once? Maybe, but I think a practical, compassionate, patient approach is nicer for a lot of us, for most of us that are scrolling and going to work and buying food from the supermarket and paying rent or mortgages, and we're just trying to get by, but also trying to understand love and divinity and something beyond, trying to understand truth and ourself and our suffering and the suffering of others. I think there comes to a point where we're going to realize it's all transactional. Unless we are already the full infinite oneness, no parts, no separation, it is transactional. It is the oneness exchanging materials, exchanging intentions, exchanging moments, exchanging patterns, exchanging resources, exchanging feelings and emotions. We look down upon transactional relationships, but we usually look down only on the superficial ones, like marrying somebody for money and not out of love, going after a connection because of lust and the want for orgasm with this person, the want for their body. We look down upon, making connections just to get ahead in life, to get promotions, to get resources, to get security and power. These often get stigmatized, and there's good reason they get stigmatized, because we need a secure world. And a secure world happens when we are able to love people even in the hard times. We're able to give even when it's hard. That's what creates a good community, a good society, is when it's not all selfish, it's not all greedy. However, there's an underlying selfishness to that. We do it because it creates a better good. We give up a little bit because it creates a better good. We practice delayed gratification because it creates something even better later. We don't practice delayed gratification because it's going to hurt us later. We don't help the world because it's going to make the world bad. We help the world because it makes it good. We are utilitarian in this way. And almost all of us, except for the extremely rare, fully achieved consciousness, is going to be transactional. In a relationship, we're going to want good feelings, good emotions. We're going to want good feelings. We're going to want no conflict, no problems. We don't want negative thoughts towards us or judgments. We're going to want possibly physical connection, maybe resources from people, security, support, praise, acknowledgement. We're going to want trust, and we're going to want sustainable, long-term connections that we can bank on, that are going to make sure that our life goes well, that we're going to have good moments later, that we're going to have security later. Even if we want to help people, even if it's hard, it's not easy. We want to make their lives better. We have a value that we desire, and that is their happiness. We have a value of maybe our karma getting better. We have a value of being the person we want to be. So if the person we want to be is someone that helps others, we fulfill that value by doing that. So it's not ever really unselfish. It's not ever fully selfless. It is transactional because we are parts of a whole, and the whole interacts. And those interactions are transactions. Those interactions are not going to sustain themselves if they're bad, if they create an unhealthy thing, a toxic thing, a not good feeling, if they create disease, if they create anger. They can for a bit, but then they fall apart, they die. This is just how it goes. It's that's almost a part of social, spiritual evolution, is the interactions that don't sustain high vibrations and love and support, they fade away. And these are the transactions I think we should do. These are the transactions I think we should accept. These are the selfishness patterns that the world needs. We need people to want the right things for themselves and for others. Not be selfless, to realize they are a self. There is this Atman, Brahman, and to help it realistically, earnestly, not with instant gratification, not giving the kid the cookie because there's a tantrum, but long-term improvement and sustainability. We need to realize that these transactions are just part of the infinite. At one point, there's no use in the word transaction, but there is a point where that even means money. That even means physical touch. That means resources and networking. That means help and support. These aren't bad in and of themselves. There's not a universal that a transaction between two humans where one or both gain more money is always bad. It's not the case that a transaction between two humans where one or more gets physical satisfaction is always bad. It's not the case that a transaction gives, ease and relaxation and company and these sort of things is always bad. Or power, other resources, land, security, whatever. But we have to realize that we're doing this. We have to realize that we're doing this with every connection. We are being transactional, and that's okay. We just have to do it the best we can do it. So the best we can do it is including everybody as the self. So wanting to make it better for everybody, wanting to make the transactions go upwards for all beings. So it means no, competitive, spiteful, jealous transactions where we put other people down or we want them to have a worse life, like frenemies or whatever. It means that if we need money and we need housing, we need food, we need recreation, some level of joy, some level of stuff or moments that create joy, then we embrace that and accept it and don't cling to any relationship or interaction that's harming the other side. That's all. We can have security and a good life and pleasure where other beings, other people and environments and animals, they're not suffering. This is possible. So we just look for those transactions that are not one-sided, at least not one-sided in a negative sense for the opposite party. We also look for transactions that bring us vibration, bring us lessons, bring us growth, make us a better person. Oftentimes the transaction people do is, I want people to be this shape. It could be their physical appearance, how they talk. It could be what they talk about. It could be their values. It could be their lifestyle and habits. It could be their choices. The shape could be even them, just how they treat me. We want someone to be a certain shape, and the transaction is I give attention and good energy, like good emotions, positive and reactions to the people that meet my shape. And then I give bad emotions, a lack of attention, so on, maybe even ill will towards people that don't meet my shape. They don't think the way I want, they don't look the way I want, they don't act the way I want, they don't talk the way I want. So the transaction is people meet an imagination, I give them good, people don't, I give them bad. We're not very conscious of this. This is just basically Pavlovian conditioning on the world, trying to make everybody a certain way accidentally, but this is a transaction to transcend. This is a transaction to make better. This is a transaction to be like, okay, I'm pretty sure that there are shapes of being that are bad. People that are abusive, people that are addicted, people that harm themselves and others, people that, aren't doing healthy things that are creating suffering, basically, patterns that create suffering. So there's a way of transacting where we want the shape of others to change and get better, but it's open. There's many ways to change our shape to be better. It doesn't need to be the one we've seen or like, but we know that there's shapes that we shouldn't do. We're pretty solid on people shouldn't hurt each other and kill each other, and abuse each other. But it gets to, but they probably shouldn't abuse themselves either. They probably shouldn't be like really manipulative and judgmental internally. You know, there's all sorts of ways that we can help the world become better, and that's a transaction. We are giving the world extra time and effort and energy and love and affection if they become better, if they refrain from doing things that cause suffering. So there are many ways that we should embrace and accept that we are transacting beings and that we're here to make everyone's lives better, including our own. And this relates to when I talked about selflessness and no self and like things like karma yoga, but it's just a realization like we are transacting with each other and we should promote love and good feelings in others and move towards people that do that to us. Accept and appreciate and still hold compassion for people that maybe don't show us love, you know, maybe people that are less on that road, but move along. Go to the people that are going to show you that love. There's 8 billion of them. There's so many. There's also just stuff. There's like plants and squirrels and bees and bugs, and there's just moments and energies and patterns that'll show you love. So we don't need to stay in one-sided transaction relationships. We can move towards mutually beneficial transactive relationships. That's all for today. Just wanted to talk about that, help us realize that probably every relationship we're ever in has some level of giving us something we want, and us them, and that's what makes it work. We just have to be good at making sure both sides both benefit, get what they want, but also improve so that we're not wanting bad things. We're not wanting things that cause suffering. Thank you so much for watching. Om Sai Ram.